This art is not AI. It's 100 years old. Take a good look at this image. You've got a bizarre biomechanical beast standing under a sky where fish seem to swim like birds. A headless figure is beckoning to it from the side. It's a world that completely defies logic, and honestly, it looks like something straight out of an advanced AI art generator. You'd think an algorithm could dream this up in a matter of seconds. Except this wasn't created by a complex algorithm or some powerful AI. It wasn't generated at all. It was painted meticulously by hand over a century ago. This is not AI, this is a masterpiece from 1921. So how is that even possible? Well, long before computers were a twinkle in anyone's eye, a group of revolutionary artists were already exploring worlds that looked completely impossible. They were the Surrealists, and they had a radical belief that the most powerful, most incredible images weren't found in the world around us, but deep within our own minds, in our dreams, our fears, and our subconscious desires. They didn't have prompts and processors. They had paint, canvas, and a wild set of techniques designed to unlock the power of the human imagination. Their goal was to create what Salvador Dali would famously call hand-painted dream photographs. Today, we're going to explore 5 masterpieces of surrealism that will make you rethink the absolute limits of human creativity. These artists were the original dreamers, the original world builders, creating impossible visions that still have the power to bend our minds today. Let's start with that painting from the beginning, the Elephant Celebes, created by German artist Max Ernst in 1921. This was one of the very first great surrealist paintings, finished even before the movement was officially a thing. To get what's happening in this chaotic scene, you have to get inside the head of its creator. Max Ernst was a veteran of World War I, an experience that left him so deeply traumatized, he would later write that he died on the 1st of August, 1914 inches, and was resurrected on the 11th of November, 1918. When he returned, he was obsessed with the irrationality and destruction he'd witnessed in the modern world. This painting is a reflection of that chaos. The central figure, that strange elephant-like creature, wasn't just pulled from a random nightmare. It was inspired by a photograph Ernst saw in an anthropology journal of a Sudanese corn bin, a simple clay silo for storing grain. But in Ernst's hands, this everyday object becomes a monstrous mechanical beast, part animal, part machine. It might even be a terrifying echo of a military tank from the war. To build these strange worlds, Ernst pioneered techniques that were just as radical as his images. He was a master of collage, cutting up images from catalogs and science manuals to create bizarre new realities. He also invented a technique he called frottage, which is just French for rubbing. He'd place paper over textured surfaces like wood floors or leaves and rub it with a pencil, letting the random patterns suggest images to him, images that he believed came directly from his unconscious mind. He later adapted this into grattage, or scraping, where he'd scrape away layers of paint to reveal textures underneath. These methods let chance and accident play a huge role in his art, a lot like the unexpected results we get from AI. He was letting the materials dream right along with him. But not all surrealists were about chaos and monsters. Our next artist, René Magritte, took a totally different path. He used the calm, ordinary world to create a feeling of profound, creeping unease. This is his 1953 painting, Golconda. At first glance, it looks almost boring. A quiet suburban scene filled with identical men in bowler hats and overcoats. But then it hits you. They're everywhere. They aren't just standing on the ground, they are suspended in the air, arranged in a perfect, repeating grid, like raindrops frozen in time. Are they falling? Are they floating up? Nothing tells you, they just are. Magritte was basically a philosopher with a paintbrush. He wasn't trying to show us his dreams, he wanted to blow up our whole perception of reality. He lived in a similar suburban neighborhood and wore a similar suit and bowler hat, making these figures both totally anonymous and deeply personal. The man in the bowler hat shows up again and again in his work, a symbol of conformity and the facelessness of modern life. In Golconda, that idea is multiplied to an absurd, terrifying degree. It's a quiet apocalypse, a world where individuality has been completely erased and replaced by endless, silent duplication. Even the title is a puzzle. It was suggested by a poet friend and refers to an ancient, fabulously wealthy city in India known for its diamond mines. So what's the connection? Maybe Magritte is making a dry, witty jab at the so-called riches of a society built on conformity. Or maybe, like a lot of his titles, It's just meant to make the mystery deeper, not solve it. Magritte himself said his paintings do not mean anything, because mystery means nothing either. He forces us to question the simple act of seeing and the reality we all take for granted. While Magritte played with the familiar, our third artist, Yves Tanguy, created worlds that are utterly and completely alien. Looking at his 1942 painting, Indefinite Divisibility, feels like looking at a landscape on another planet. We see a vast empty space under a heavy oppressive sky. There are no people, no trees, no recognizable life at all. Instead, the ground is littered with strange biomorphic forms, smooth, bone-like objects that look like the fossilized remains of some unknown species. Tanguy was a self-taught artist, famously inspired to start painting after seeing a work by Giorgio de Chirico through a bus window. He soon joined the Surrealists in Paris and became obsessed with automatism, the idea of creating art without conscious thought, just letting the hand move freely to see what the subconscious would spit out. He would start his paintings with no plan at all, allowing the forms to develop on their own, often surprising himself. "The painting develops before my eyes," he said, unfolding its surprises as it progresses. This process is why his work has this incredible sense of realism, even though the objects themselves are pure fantasy. He painted with meticulous detail, giving every bizarre shape a convincing three-dimensional form and casting long, dramatic shadows that make the scene feel both real and deeply unsettling. The space feels infinite, like some kind of purgatory where these strange objects exist in a state of perfect, eerie stillness. It's a world that feels generated not by a computer, but by the deepest, most inaccessible corners of the human mind. Surrealism was definitely a movement dominated by men, but one of its most powerful and haunting voices belonged to an American woman, Kay Sage. For years she was married to Yves Tanguy, and while they both loved painting desolate landscapes, her vision was uniquely her own. It was more architectural, more structured, and filled with a profound, unshakable sadness. This is her 1955 masterpiece, Tomorrow is Never. The title alone is just devastating. Sage painted this only 5 months after Tanguy died suddenly from a stroke, and the canvas is absolutely soaked in her grief. We see a barren, fog-shrouded landscape dominated by immense cage-like scaffolding. These aren't the organic, bone-like shapes of her husband's work. They are rigid, geometric structures that feel both half-built and half-destroyed at the same time. Trapped within these structures are figures wrapped in cloth. They're powerless, their bodies hidden, their identities completely erased. They seem unable to escape, and maybe they don't even want to try. Sage often used landscapes as a metaphor for the mind, and here, her mind is a prison of grief. The structures are open, yet they confine. The fog is vast, yet it suffocates. There is no hope here, no future. The title makes that brutally clear. Sage's work is a powerful testament to Surrealism's ability to express incredibly complex psychological states. She built these stage sets on canvas, creating temporary, unstable worlds that were a direct reflection of her internal reality. Tragically, her own despair would consume her. After struggling with depression and failing eyesight, Kay Sage took her own life in 1963, leaving behind a body of work that is as beautiful as it is heartbreaking. And finally, we have to talk about the artist whose name is basically synonymous with surrealism, and a painting so famous it has become part of our collective consciousness. The Persistence of Memory, by Salvador Dali, from 1931. This is the image most people think of when they hear the word surreal. Melting clocks are draped over a desolate landscape. A strange, fleshy creature lies on the ground, and ants swarm over a solid gold watch, symbolizing decay. Dali famously claimed the idea came to him one evening after dinner, as he was thinking about the gooey, melting texture of a wheel of camembert cheese. This, he said, was the camembert of time. Soft, unreliable, and totally subjective. Dali called his technique the paranoid critical method. He would deliberately work himself into a state of psychotic hallucination to access his subconscious, and then paint what he saw with what he called the most imperialist fury of precision. The result is this bizarre hallucinatory effect, a perfect blend of the uncanny and the hyper-realistic. For all its strangeness, the landscape is based on the cliffs of his home in Catalonia, Spain. That monstrous creature on the ground? It's a distorted self-portrait of the artist himself. This is the ultimate hand-painted dream photograph. Dali gives us a world where time itself has lost all meaning, where solid things become soft, and reality itself seems to be rotting away. More than any other artist, he proved that the strangest, most impossible images didn't need to be generated by a machine. They were already there, just waiting to be discovered in the vast, unexplored territory of the human mind. From the mechanical monsters of Max Ernst to the silent, reigning men of Magritte, from the alien worlds of Tanguy to the architectural despair of Kay Sage and the melting time of Dali, these artists were true pioneers. They took journeys into the subconscious decades before technology could even dream of doing something similar. They proved that the human imagination is, and always has been, the most powerful image generator in the world. An AI can create incredible images based on the prompts we feed it, but these artists were creating the prompts themselves, pulling them from the raw, chaotic, and beautiful stuff of their own minds. Their work isn't just a collection of weird pictures. It's a testament to the limitless and sometimes terrifying power of human creativity. If you enjoyed this trip into the mind-bending world of surrealism, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories behind the world's greatest art. Thanks for watching.